Over the years, it seems like movies have become increasingly less creative. I mean, take a look at the modern filmscape. It is polluted with sequels, reboots, and remakes. I hate live-action remakes. Disney has become the pioneer of ruining classic animated films by sucking out all of the life in them and releasing them as soulless corporate cash grab husks. In the last 15 years, Disney has released a total of 13 live-action remakes, and that's not even including what I consider pseudo-remakes. Movies like Cruella, Maleficent, or last year's Mufasa. Somehow, literally all of these movies suck. Some more than others. None of these remakes hold a candle to the originals, and in some instances, it's downright offensive how bad they are. All of them are subpar retellings of the original films, with admittedly decent looking visuals. But at the end of the day, they're all style over substance. Take The Lion King for example. There are no major differences between the original and remake besides the visuals. Though according to Google's AI, Pumbaa farts differently, so that's something I guess. But the problem with the live action is how boring it is to watch. The impressive CGI honestly does a disservice here. I mean, if I watch this with the sound off, it's like I might as well be at the zoo. This is really emphasized during I Just Can't Wait to Be King. The original is an incredible display of animation featuring vibrant, beautiful colors. Meanwhile, in 2019, we have Simba and Nala just running around. I just don't understand the point of remaking a movie if all it changes is the visuals, and especially if those visuals detriment the viewing experience. But I guess there really is no winning with live action remakes, because even if they change story details along with the visuals, it will still suck. That was proven to us by this year's abysmal remakes of Snow White and Lilo and Stitch. Now, I must admit, I didn't watch either of them, but according to people who have seen them, both of them make some pretty big changes to the narratives. Snow White introduced a new love interest to replace Prince Charming named Jonathan.
Aha, Jonathan, you are banging my
Jonathan?
Yeah, cause nothing says fairy tale like the name of a drug dealer outside of 7-Eleven. No offense to anyone named Jonathan, by the way, except for that one. You know who you are. Lilo and Stitch also made quite a few changes, most egregious of which being that they completely changed the ending. Spoiler warning for the ending if you care, I don't know. Basically, at the end of the movie, Nani ends up leaving Lilo to go to college. Now, if you've never seen Lilo and Stitch, you probably don't see any problem with this. But for those who have seen it, you know this new ending completely stomps on the whole message of the movie. It's supposed to be about Ohana and family, you know, togetherness. Anyway, I've become pretty turned off to all live action remakes, to the point where I didn't even bother with this year's How to Train Your Dragon remake. Listen, I love the How to Train Your Dragon series, despite the fact I haven't seen the third movie, but I just know that I have nothing to gain from watching the remake. With that being said, I have heard that it's actually quite good, and that most people who have watched it have enjoyed it, so I guess that's kinda cool. Anyway, live action remakes aren't the only thing plaguing cinemas today. We also have to worry about reboots. As prevalent as they are today, reboots aren't much of a modern trend with movies. Film franchises have been being rebooted for decades, some notable examples being Godzilla and Batman, who have reboots dating back to the 80s and 90s. I find reboots much more forgivable than live-action remakes because they're more interesting by nature. Remakes are typically just treading in the same steps of something already made, albeit worse. Meanwhile, reboots are allowed to twist and change the narratives of the originals. Thanks to that, we've gotten some honestly incredible film reboots, and, well, also some not as good stuff. In the 2000s and 2010s, reboots were abundant. You couldn't go to a theater without seeing trailers for some new gritty reboot of that thing you loved as a kid. Yeah, most of these reboots followed the same formula of taking a well-known, colorful franchise for kids, splashing some darkness over it, and throwing in a few mild swear words to bump the rating to PG-13. I'll be honest, I didn't hate them. I mean, come on, for a 5-year-old me, these movies were awesome. Just an hour and a half of kind of brainless content with explosions and fighting. What's not to love? Well, a lot, actually. For starters, most of the time these reboots spit in the faces of fans of the franchises by basically ruining the characters and stories they loved. Just take a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, for example. Okay, actually don't look at them. But when examining movies like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Man of Steel, or The Amazing Spider-Man, it becomes increasingly apparent where this dark, gritty influence comes from. Christopher Nolan's incredibly successful Dark Knight trilogy. Releasing in 2005, Batman Begins kicked off what is highly considered to be one of the greatest film trilogies of all time, superhero or not. The films featured Batman in a realistic setting with much more grounded characters and stories as opposed to the Batman movies that preceded it. These movies were absolute smash hits, both in the box office and with critics, So obviously, everyone was going to try and get in on its success. In doing so, they failed to understand why the Dark Knight trilogy worked. Batman and his world lend themselves to a darker, realistic setting much more than, say, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So when they tried, well, it didn't turn out so great.
Oh, she's so hot I can feel my shell tightening.
Thankfully, it seems we're finally heading out of this era of moody filters and dim lighting. Now we're getting some honestly incredible reboots. For example, last year's Transformers 1. Transformers 1 was a great reboot that did a great job of re-establishing the lore and characters of the Transformers franchise. But, no one saw it. Yeah, due to the absolutely tragic marketing making it seem like a generic kids film, this movie flopped hard at the box office. And last week, at the time of me writing this video, it was confirmed that there were no plans for a sequel. And then like a few days later, it was revealed that Paramount is bringing Michael Bay back to direct another Transformers movie. So like I don't really know what's going on anymore. Michael Bay will probably just make a sequel to his original series of Transformers movies, which seems like a great segue into talking about sequels. Much like reboots, I really don't mind sequels that much. In all honesty, they're a very natural part of the film industry. I mean, they're just continuations of stories. That's a concept that's been around for literally thousands of years. Movie sequels have been around for nearly as long as movies in general, with the first recognized sequel being 1916's The Fall of a Nation, a sequel to the 1915 film The Birth of a Nation. Since then, movie sequels have cemented themselves as a crucial part of the film industry. However, in recent years, we've seen a shift in the types of sequels being made. Nowadays, it's all about legacy sequels. Legacy sequels are sequels of movies that are really frickin' old. Top Gun Maverick, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Jurassic World, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Creed, the list goes on and on. When it comes to these types of sequels, I feel pretty divided. On the one hand, I can appreciate that these movies are trying to recapture the magic of these classic films. But on the other hand, I also have to accept the fact that they're pretty blatant attempts at cashing in on nostalgia, much like live-action remakes. This is the biggest problem facing Hollywood today. Why make a completely original film that has a high chance of bombing at the box office, when instead you can just make another Jurassic Park and get a swift couple $100 million? Which brings me to my final point. Where do original movies stand in all this? Well, they're being drowned out. It's sad to say, but it's the truth. A quick glance at all the movies releasing theatrically in 2025 reveals a sad display of, well, sequels, reboots, and remakes. There are a few outliers though, specifically Sinners and F1, even though F1 isn't technically an original film considering it's obviously based on Formula 1 racing. But notice how I specified theatrically released movies. While movie theaters are being flooded with mediocre, unimaginative films, streaming services have become home to some incredible original movies. Case in point, Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters. Yep, that's right, I made a whole video just to talk about one movie. Okay, I wish that were true, but really I just so happen to be writing this video at the perfect time. For those living under a rock, K-pop Demon Hunters is Sony Pictures Animation's newest movie. In just 1 month, it has become one of the biggest animated movies in years. I cannot stop seeing it all over YouTube and Instagram. People absolutely love this movie. In reviews and comment sections all over the internet, you can find loads of people praising how creative and genuine this movie is. In those same comment sections, you can also find people wishing this movie were released in theaters. And to that, I say we have to be real for a second. Many people have fallen in love with the movie, but that's largely due to accessibility, thanks to Netflix. If this movie had been released in theaters, it would have flopped so hard. There would have been like 5 people who bothered to go watch it. So 2 more viewers than Transformers 1. And 5 more than Elio. It might seem insane to say, but I think it was for the best that it was released on Netflix. Animated movies just aren't doing as well in theaters as they used to anymore. The only thing that sells tickets right now is sequels, which is why Disney is putting such a focus on them after the success of last year's Inside Out 2. So, thank you, Netflix. Ugh, that felt gross to say. But why is it that so many original animated films, and just original films in general, continue to flop? Well, remember earlier when I said that the biggest problem facing Hollywood today was nostalgia baiting? I was wrong. The biggest problem facing Hollywood today is ticket prices. Going to the movies has become such an expensive endeavor in recent years. For example, just recently my dad and I went to see Jurassic World Rebirth. Yes, I watched the obvious cash grab movie, but I like dinosaurs, okay? Anyway, it cost $30 for just 2 adult tickets, including popcorn and a drink. That cost bumped up to almost $50. I could buy a dinosaur for that much. Once you realize how expensive it is to go to the movies nowadays, you start to realize why so many original movies flop. Currently, your average hardworking American has to make a choice when going to the theater. Spend a crap ton of money on a movie based off of something they already like, meaning they'll probably enjoy it, or spend a crap ton of money on a wholly original film that they may or may not end up hating. It's a gamble, and for that, I honestly can't blame the general audience for letting original movies fall by the wayside in recent years. I wish I could end this video on a high note and say things are looking better for the future, but they're really not. I don't see ticket prices going down anytime soon, especially with the economy and all that right now. So what are we, the audience, to do? Well, I can assure you of one thing. As long as we keep supporting movies like K-pop Demon Hunters, showing studios that, yes, we like good original movies, I think things will turn out fine. In the meantime, we can all stop filling the seats to whatever new Disney live-action remake comes out, and maybe try watching some original films we see online or something. Or, try piracy.